I guess next week, European football is starting to come to an end. We've got the semifinals all taking place next week, starting with the Champions League on Tuesday, all the way through Thursday with the Europa League and the Conference League. So some big ties coming up. So today we're going to be going over all the ties and who I think is going to go through and advance to the finals. So first up on Tuesday, you've got PSG versus Bayern Munich. This is a huge game, a lot of stakes, really probably entertaining game here. Odds are saying PSG is going to win the first leg. It is in Paris, so understandably the odds are favoring PSG. But in my opinion, I'm very high on Bayern Munich this year, especially recently. They've been playing really well. So I am going to actually lean towards Bayern Munich across the two legs. I think the first leg might be a draw or something, but across the two legs, I think Bayern Munich's going to end up taking it. I think they're just too good to not end up advancing to the final in the Champions League this year. PSG has been a bit all over the place. They have not looked as good as they have in the past. And I just think that Bayern Munich's going to go ahead and take it in this case. Now, for the other Champions League semifinal, you've got Atletico and Arsenal. So this is, again, a very tough tie. This is the complete opposite of PSG and Bayern Munich. You figure you've got PSG, Bayern Munich, both sides like to really play a lot of attacking football. You've got guys like Ousmane Dembele for PSG, Harry Kane for Bayern Munich. In my opinion, Harry Kane is currently the front runner to win the Ballon d'Or, in my opinion, for this upcoming year, depending on how the season finishes with Bayern and how England does in the World Cup. But in terms of Atletico and Arsenal, the complete opposite in terms of the first leg. I think this is going to be a very defensive, really quite boring game. Wait for somebody else to make a mistake. This tie kicks off on Wednesday, April 9th, and then the second leg is going to be Tuesday, May 5th. So two very tough games for Arsenal. I think this will have a big impact on their chase for the Premier League title as well. Having these massive Champions League games in between with some Premier League games in there. I think it's a huge difference maker for them in the rest of their season, especially now that Man City is putting a lot of pressure on Arsenal here at the end. I think it's going to be a very tough and interesting tie between Atletico and Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal, in terms of this current squad, have no real experience in this type of atmosphere in a semifinal of the Champions League. They just don't have it. Atletico have been constantly in European football and European knockout stages for years and years under Simeone. Atletico is looking to ride out Simeone one last time, really make it a fairy tale ending for him at Atletico. So I think that Atletico is going to be a very strong opposition for Arsenal. And in my opinion, I think Atletico could end up taking this. They do host the first leg, so Atletico is at home in the first leg. It will be at the Emirates in the second leg, which definitely will play a factor. But at the same time, if Atletico go ahead, get a nice lead after that first game, who knows what's going to happen in the second. I don't see a lot of goals. I think across the two legs, we might see a 2-1 aggregate score, maybe a 3-2, something like that, but nothing crazy, whereas PSG and Bayern Munich, this could be an 8-6, 5-3, something like that across the two legs. I think it'll be really interesting. But I've got Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid going to the final late May 30th is the Champions League final. I think Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid would make for a great final. But yeah, let me know Champions League wise what you guys are thinking, who's going to get through, how the ties are going to shape up, who's going to get the winners. But before we get to the Europa League and the Conference League, please, guys, go ahead and subscribe. Every Friday I'm releasing real world videos at the moment. And really, as summer starts to get in, I plan on making some more videos, a little bit more different videos, especially with the World Cup coming and the U.S. season's all kicking off, getting some match day vlogs and stuff in there. So make sure you guys are subscribed for that. And yeah, let's go ahead. Let's get into the Europa League. So all English affair in semifinal number 1. Thursday, April 30th is when the Europa League semifinals will take place. The all-English affair of Nottingham Forest and Aston Villa. This is a very interesting one. I mean, obviously on paper, Villa is going to be the major favorites. First leg is going to be at the City Ground in Nottingham before the second leg at Villa Park. Recently, these two sides just played on April 12th at the City Ground where it finished 1-1. I think this is a little bit of a better indication of how this tie is going to go compared to the first time these two played in the league at the Villa Ground where Villa won 4-1. That game was all the way back in December or January. I believe it was January. Forest have kind of got themselves their feet under them here right in the busy part of the season and are really starting to figure things out right when you needed to get themselves a little bit of safety and just stay up. I think that's what the main important thing is for them, is staying up. Obviously, if they can go ahead with somehow winning Europa League, that is fantastic. But, I just don't see it happening. I still think across the two legs, Villa are the much, much stronger side and will take care of Forest. But at the same time, Nottingham Forest has a good bit of individual talent and individual ability and are starting to finally piece it together this season. It's quite late for them to do so, but they are starting to find a little bit more consistency. So I think that they will go ahead and put up a good fight. It won't be a 4-1, 4-1 type game or type tie, but I do think Villa will win this one across the two legs, probably by multiple goals. I would not be shocked if Villa win both games across both legs. Now, for the other semifinal, you have got Braga from Portugal versus Freiburg of Germany. So a very interesting semifinal once again. Braga took down Real Betis in I think it was Real Betis, or maybe I'm wrong here. Hold on, let me double check. But Braga coming from from Portugal, playing quite well. I believe they currently sit in fourth place in Portugal. They did take down Betis, yes. I thought so. 4-2 on the road in the second leg was enough to see them through. But yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting game. I think a lot of people are heavily favoring Freiburg solely because they play in the Bundesliga compared to Braga's, Portuguese league status. But at the same time, Braga has played quite well in the Europa League this season, and I mean they just took down Real Betis of La Liga, and who's playing quite well. So, it's very much a toss-up. First leg is in Portugal before the return leg on May 7th in Germany in the Black Forest at Freiburg. I think it's going to be a very tough tie, and it's very much a toss-up. I think either side's going to win it. I think this is one of those weird ones where you could either have Braga winning by multiple goals across the two legs. You could have Freiburg winning by multiple goals across the two legs. I really do think that's the case with this one. Both sides are in actually quite decent form, picking up a lot of points. I think neither side has lost in their last 5 games. So both sides are in some decent form, playing well. In Europe, European semifinals are always tough to tell, really, for the most part. It's always going to be tough. But I do think Freiburg will just have enough. I think having that second leg at home is going to do world for them and will be enough to see them through to the final to take on Aston Villa, where it'll be a very interesting game. I'm very happy with these 4 semifinalists. I think it'll be fun to see who does go ahead and win it. I'm going to be really keen on that Braga-Freiburg tie. I think it'll be fun. But I think Freiburg's just got enough quality to just take them past Braga, but I think it'll be a very, very fun tie across the two legs. Now to the semifinals of the Conference League. You've got 2 very, very different ties again here. You've got Rayo Vallecano and Strasbourg. 2 very good teams where I think these 2 were probably deserving to be in the final. If these 2 met in the final, I think it'd be a great game. Vallecano having a good comeback against, I don't even remember. Strasbourg had a good comeback as well in their semifinal. They took down Mainz 4-0 in the return leg. So a very, very good return there from them. Good comeback, taking down Mainz to get to the semifinals. Vallecano took down AEK Athens. They had a good lead at home. They picked up a 3-0 lead. Then the return leg in Greece almost blew it, 3-1 loss, but that one goal was enough to see them through on aggregate. So both sides really kind of up in the air between these 2. It is very much back and forth. I know a lot of people are favoring Rayo Vallecano, But in my opinion, I think Strasbourg are the better side, have the better players, and will end up getting through. Vallecano is struggling this year in La Liga. They're sit 15th at the moment. Strasbourg a little bit higher up, right in those European spots once again in Ligue 1. Strasbourg obviously more known for being Blue Coast kind of little brother and just buying them all and sending them to Chelsea. That kind of whole money, some people call it money laundering scheme or whatever you want to call it. But I still think Strasbourg have a lot of talent, a lot of ability, and I think they will end up taking down Vallecano. Vallecano host the first game in Madrid, and then it will be the second leg in France. So I think it'll be a very interesting one, very fun one there. It'll be a good tie, really fun to watch in my opinion. I'm all for this game. This tie is going to be a really good one. Again, either side can take it. I wouldn't be shocked if Vallecano do take it, but in my opinion, I think Strasbourg are the better side and will end up making it to the final. Now, the other semifinal, another English side, Crystal Palace will take on the Ukrainians in Shakhtar Donetsk. Now, this is where things get really interesting because obviously Shakhtar are not going to be playing at home in Donetsk, Ukraine. So they are playing their home games in Krakow, Poland. So the first leg will be in Poland as Palace travel to Shakhtar's adopted home of the Krakow Stadium. That game again, Thursday, April 30th. The second leg is May 7th, where the second leg will be at Selhurst Park. I think that it's really hard where you have to give the advantage to Palace when it comes to the games. They don't have to travel to Ukraine. Shakhtar won't have as raucous of a crowd, that true home crowd in that first leg. Palace fans are good. They travel well, and they will support like crazy at Selhurst Park. Shakhtar playing quite well at the moment when it comes to European football. So I think it'll be very, very tight and a very good game. Shakhtar are playing their Ukrainian league season at the moment. They took down AZ Alkmaar in the quarterfinals to get to this point, whereas Crystal Palace took down Fiorentina in the quarterfinals. So Crystal Palace have had the tougher tie in the quarterfinals to get here. Shakhtar Donetsk, really, they've got nothing to lose. This whole campaign, they've had nothing to lose, and probably a lot of people have bet against them. And honestly, it's a toss-up because Palace have not impressed me, and they've really kind of struggled at times and been really consistent this year. So I actually have Shakhtar winning this. I think that they'll continue this kind of Cinderella run they've got going on. I just think Crystal Palace and their lack of experience in European semifinals and ties and stuff will end up biting them here. So I do have Shakhtar going through to take on Strasbourg. It's kind of, I don't know if it might just be rose-colored glasses or looking for that Cinderella team. But, for some reason, I just feel like Shakhtar is going to end up taking it. They got, that old, how you kind of remembered Shakhtar Donetsk in the Ukrainian league of all those Brazilians in the front line. That's back for Shakhtar. So I think that they're going to cause Palace some issues and will end up getting a few goals. I think both of these ties in this Conference League semifinals is going to be really fun to watch. And I think all of these European semifinals are going to be fun to watch. Maybe the Atletico Arsenal will be probably the least exciting. Villa Forest maybe as well in there. But I think it'll be a lot of fun watching these semifinals next week and the week after. I'm all for it. I cannot wait. I'm ready for some European finals. Even though Liverpool are not in it, I'm still, hoping for some good games. Some different teams are going to end up winning these ties. I mean, you got no one that's won a European trophy at any time recently. At least, I'm not going to go back too long. I don't remember off the top of my head last time any of the four sides in Conference League have won. The Europa League, these sides have not won in a long time. Both Villa and Forest have won the old European Cup. They've not really had any European success in a long time from them. And then Champions League, obviously Bayern Munich, PSG have both won Champions Leagues quite recently, but Arsenal and Atletico never won it before. So a lot of new teams could be lifting silverware this year. So I'm really excited for it. But again, make sure you guys please like, comment, and subscribe. Comment what you guys think about who's going to win each of the ties, who's going to win the actual competitions, how excited you are, what game you're going to be focusing on, especially when it comes to those Thursday games when all of them are happening at the same time. So make sure you guys let me know what you guys are ready for. You're excited. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see everybody in the next video.